All right, so we are live for our weekly meeting. Can we go ahead and start with a prayer? Anyone want to volunteer for that?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Our Father in heaven, we give thee thanks this morning, Father, for the time which we have to come together as fellow saints and fellow classmates to learn something new and to share with one another things that we've learned. We recognize the opportunities we have to be in this class and to improve on our understanding and our knowledge and in technology and in web-page design. We pray that the Spirit be with us that we may understand and be able to retain the things we learned this day. And this we do ask for in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you. So, okay, last week we decided I'd conduct this meeting, and I think that Wendy, you would do the meeting notes?
Yeah. And did you see I put an agenda in there?
Looks like it, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So, yeah, and the first thing that we need to discuss, we had talked a little bit last week about an image for our Google Plus community. I put a little doc in the Google Drive. You can it stands out because it has images.
Okay.
But we were going to go kind of look through those and vote on one that we like better than best so that we can...
Is that the one you put in last week?
Yeah, I put it in last week.
Because I went through all of those, and the only one that was big enough was the one that I used, but and I couldn't get it to fit any better than I've got it.
Okay.
I loved all of those. We just need a bigger version of them.
That's right.
What are you trying to fit it on?
You know, when you're looking at our community on Google Plus, there's a spot for a picture and for our tagline. And so I put one of the pictures there, but it you can't see the phone where the little images are coming out of.
Oh, I guess.
Kind of too small.
If you open the image in Paint, you should be able to resize the image to fit properly.
Open it in what?
In Paint.
In Paint?
Yeah.
Okay. I can try that. So do you want to just look at all those images and pick one and I'll try it?
Okay. Yeah, I personally like the first and last probably the best, but just a personal preference.
First one a lot. First one's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I like the colors.
Yeah.
Can't get mine open for some reason.
The bottom one?
What's that?
Everybody likes the bottom one?
I like the bottom one, alright. My favorites are the first and the last.
Yeah, I like the first one.
Sorry. Okay. Mine's taking forever to open, so I can't see them yet. Yeah, I like the first and the last also because they're centered and they'll probably fit in there better.
I also liked, let me add in this one. I just added a new bottom one.
Oh, that's cool. You don't know what size that is, do you?
I don't.
Is the frame for it, is it square or is it rectangular?
I think it's square.
Square.
Because we can resample that down to a smaller size if we need to.
Yeah, the other ones were too small, and I need to make them bigger, I guess.
Yeah.
This one looks bigger than those, though.
Yeah, and I actually did kind of shrink these down a little bit as I was just so that I could fit multiple on a page. So that was probably my fault, but yeah, the original pixel size too.
Well, I really like the one you just put in.
I think it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go for that one.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay. Okay, I'll put that in. I'll try that after the meeting, getting that in there.
All right. So then, are we ready to move on to the next item on our agenda?
Uh-huh.
So we were going to talk about the updates to our project proposal. I actually have thought about that quite a bit throughout the week because I've worked on local storage this week. As far as that goes, I was just thinking that the movie and library app, I mean, it's a good idea. I don't have a problem with the idea. It's just that I realized as I was doing local storage that I think that that's how we are supposed to store things, and if we use that, we are limited to, I think it was like 10 megabytes. I'd have to do a little bit of research to see if that would, how many, movies that would even encompass, but it's something that we'd want to be careful about if someone had, thousands of movies, for example. And I mean, I know there are people who do, but, it might not fit in the storage that we're allocated, but that'd just be something to research. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but because 10 megabytes, I think it was 10 megabytes, but that's still a lot, but.
Right.
If you start taking the pictures of the DVDs, then that's going to take up a lot of storage.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking too. If you add pictures in, then that storage is going to be gone pretty quick.
Right.
When I was looking at it, the thing that I thought in relation to that idea was that if it's local, then it's just on that one machine and in that browser. And so if you were to reformat your computer or switch to a different device, you're not going to have all the same stuff on there. Exactly,
yeah. There'd be no way to transfer it, which is why an external database is probably what we would need to use and want to use. Yeah. But then I don't know how you do that.
Would you use JSON as an external? I mean, can you use it like an external database?
Yeah. Well, you'd have to use an existing database, and yeah, you could use JSON. You could integrate it that way, but I thought that the teacher had kind of said that we weren't allowed to use
external. No, yeah, we can't use external ones.
Yeah, and in that case, I don't know if it's even what our options would even be then.
Right.
So that's a little disappointing, I guess, but that's all right.
Yeah. Now we're still expected to put in 2 proposals, right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. So we could look at it. Tiffany and I could still just go as far as we could with it, just to see what we could do.
Or we could also go another route, such as like the goal tracking app, or the what was the other one that we had initially considered?
It was a time tracking app.
Time tracking app. Yeah, we could do something like that as well.
Okay. So we still have a little time to think about it, and now that I've seen what he's grading us on, I feel like there's a lot more to the each individual topic than I realized.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I'd kind of like to figure out what some of those things are, and I think that would help us to, choose.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, should we just kind of say that we're gonna eliminate the movie library app and think of other things, or still go with it, still kind of try to see how it could work?
What do you think, Tiffany?
I think we should still see if it would work, just because we do have that first idea, and the second one, I mean, worst case scenario, we could just use local storage. I mean, this is a small project.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Maybe we could make it to where it's not saving necessarily the images on the page itself, but maybe links to the IMDb database or something like that, to where it would just maybe local storage could just save links to
That's true.
That's already out there.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean a database that already stores those images?
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I was playing with it, the one thing I realize is that if you put two of the same thing in, use the first column as the same name, when you go to bring those back out, it only shows one of them. It doesn't show both of them. At least when I was doing it, there may be more to it, but I was wondering how that would. It's definitely not any kind of relational database or anything. It's just
okay.
But I don't know. It was my first time ever messing with it.
With local storage, you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm actually teaching a little bit about that today, so we can go over more about how that could work.
Okay.
But yeah, also something that I had considered, just kind of thought about. We talked about the homepage app having little tiles. Brother James mentioned in his email that there were students playing around with click and drag features, and I think that would be something that would really add a lot of interest to our homepage idea. If you're able to have some kind of edit mode where you're able to click and drag things, just so that we can be aware of that as we're doing research, throughout.
Okay. That sounds cool.
Yeah, he said it actually wasn't too difficult, so I was thinking that'd be a good idea if we could make it work.
Right.
Yeah. So, should we go ahead and assign next week's teachers and topics?
Okay. I think we might have already signed up for some of them.
Yeah, that's true. Let me go there.
Well, I've signed up for that JSON Stringify.
Okay. For next week. Oh, and I didn't put my topic. I'd be happy to teach again. I feel like I feel like we're kind of getting to the point where there are a lot more topics than we realized, and it'd be good for us to kind of just be really getting through these.
Okay.
What
would you like to teach?
I'd be happy to teach JavaScript events.
Okay.
Is somebody updating that, or you want me to update it? No.
Yeah, I'm updating. Then would either Tiffany or Brendan like to teach one more time, or another time?
Yeah, I'm trying to. We haven't taught in a while.
I'm teaching
I couldn't hear what you were saying, Tiffany.
I said yes.
Yes, you would.
Okay.
What would you like to teach?
I can do what hasn't been done in a while. I can do animation.
Oh, Brother James posted something on our. Yeah, he posted that he's trying to find a live link to our meeting.
Oh,
Let
right.
me.
Did you post that in our?
I posted it, yeah, just in our group.
Let's see. I didn't see it there.
Or just send him an invitation, maybe. If you didn't.
That's true. Let me add him that way.
Actually, I do see it there. You know what? All you need to do is copy and paste your bar at the top of your screen, and then paste it as a comment in what you pasted before.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I did. I just went to links at the bottom.
That was the one. If you copy from the top and paste it there, then he can enter live.
Oh, okay.
That bar at the top.
Yeah, and now I don't see. 1 second. Oh, there he is.
All right, I made it. Okay.
Perfect.
I was fine to just lurk around the edges, but then I heard you had a number of questions, so I thought, oh, I'll try and pop in.
Oh, thank you.
Oops. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Perfect.
So, if I can rewind you a little bit, or whatever you'd like me to do, I heard you had some questions. If there's anything you'd like me to answer, I'd be happy to.
Yeah. We were actually just talking earlier about an external database.
Uh-huh.
What are the, I guess, stipulations for that?
If you've got somebody, just a second, I'm getting my earphones on. That's why you got a view of the ceiling. The sound gets a little better. If you've got somebody who's comfortable with MySQL, go ahead and do it. I've had some teams use it, but that's certainly not necessary. You had some questions about the size of local storage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true that you're going to be, hang on a second, I'm changing the volume here. You are limited for each object you put in local storage.
Oh.
So you can fill up your disk space if you want. This was for a video application, video library, right, or something like that?
Right.
Yeah.
If you were to have a different object for each video, you can put in hundreds and hundreds of those. And the fact that it's only, you're trapped to a single device, that's a part of this class. If you want to extend it and put it into MySQL so it's available on any device, more power to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to just, and also even if you were to put it all into a single object, which I wouldn't recommend because that shows that you didn't, you're not using local storage to its best. This is just an app for the class. You don't have to put thousands of videos on there. If you can prove it with 10, 15, 20, then then you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you guys go and get your venture capital funding to make this an app, then sure you want to be able to put thousands of videos on there.
Now, what was the name of that thing you were saying that we could use?
MySQL?
Yeah, what is that?
MySQL is a very simple database. It's a SQL database that you can load up on your server. Your web provider probably has that available to you if you want to use that.
Okay.
But I'm not encouraging you to do that because that adds another hurdle to your complexity of your application. That's not necessary, and I wouldn't want to slow you down. I'm just suggesting that if one of you says, "Oh, I've done MySQL before, it's not a big deal."
Yeah.
If you've done it 5 or 10 times, it's not a big deal. But if it's your first time, I don't want you to invest a lot of time in figuring
I've actually worked with MySQL a decent amount, and I've only ever done it with PHP though. You can access it via JavaScript. Just the same, or?
PHP is my experience with it as well.
Okay. Okay, so we'd have to add a layer, and kind of just another layer of complexity there. But I mean, if it's worth it, we could definitely go that route. Wouldn't be a problem.
But again, if you want to just put in 10, 15 videos, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Like local storage.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that definitely makes it doable then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
I have a question about DOM. How exactly would you recommend we show the use of that? Because that seems a little bit more vague.
All right, you've got. All right, I'm going with your video library application. You could have a list of your videos in one section where you can scroll up and down through the videos. And then you could click on a video, and you would use Ajax to throw up a new form there, and you'd go to your local storage to pull information for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then which you would have stringified into the local storage, and then you would parse that coming out of local storage, and then you'd populate your fields for information about Raiders of the Lost Ark, director and actors, image. And that's using pretty basic DOM. You're just filling in the text fields for the entry fields for the movie, and that's DOM. Now, it's nice if you use something a little bit more exotic, but that's DOM. In fact, that kind of wraps everything together, grabbing the new form from using Ajax, which has embedded in it the different fields that you're now going to fill in the information that came out of the local storage. Explain that? Is that understandable?
I think so.
Okay, DOM.
I'll go back and watch this video 10 times and
yeah, DOM, document object model,
right.
is just a tree hierarchy of your web page, and it has all of the items on your web page, the entry fields, and anything you've named. And if it's got a name, you can get element by name, get element by ID, and then use it. When you've got that ID, you've got access right to that field on the screen, and you can do anything with it. You can change the background text color. You can change the font size. You can fill in the text field with the name of the movie. You're manipulating the document model for the document that's on the screen. So every field, every object on the screen is manipulatable.
Okay.
Has somebody taught DOM yet in the class?
Yeah, we went over it a little bit last week, but we're all
okay.
with it.
Hopefully you go over each of these at least twice, so that you see somebody take example from the first lesson, and then they expand on it.
Okay. Well, I started messing with DOM this week, and I was having trouble, and I was wondering if it makes a difference if you're using those, you know, the main role is main, or what is the ARIA or whatever, because I was having a hard time reaching the object or whatever, because on the example it said I could just go create element, you know, or whatever, get document by div, and then I was having a hard time finding my elements, and I wondered if that was why.
Oh, really? I'd have to see the code particularly. Start small and build up. If you went and grabbed a more complicated example, sometimes it's harder to debug that. But if you start at W3 Schools, they usually start pretty small. So, and that's often what I've done when I've had problems with code. I've been beating my head against the wall, and I have to rewind it back to the basics and just start with hello world, and then grow it from there.
Okay.
Typos will kill you on DOM. So everything looks right.
Okay, so when are these portfolios actually due? Or the final?
I think that they're due week 12. I really like you to have them completed pretty much by the time you start your application, your team application, because you don't have as much time to go back and do both of them at the same time. So it's good to target them in your mind to have them done by the end of week 8. But my life is about making things easy for me. And actually, you know, weeks 8 through 12 aren't too bad for me because you're working on your team application. So I guess that's not too bad if you continue to add into it there. But just for your sake, getting your portfolio done around week 8 and then being able to focus heavily on the team app is just better for you.
Okay, so if we get as much as possible by week 8 and we don't like our grade, we can still add to it till to week 12.
You bet. You can still slip me a 20 and get a good grade.
Okay.
You're not recording this, are you?
Yep. We got it.
You had mentioned one team was working with drag and drop. Can you give us kind of a general idea how that kind of worked?
Oh, I'd have to go back and see the student who did that. I can't remember. I'd never seen it before, and I thought, oh, that is. Go look for drag and somebody's teaching events next week, right?
Yeah, I'm teaching
Yeah.
events.
All right. Go look for drag and drop JavaScript events.
Okay.
And I need to go steal the code because it was real. It's just a very simple example. He had a text field, and I think there's an attribute on it that made it draggable. And then he had a div that would receive a draggable event. I don't remember the names of it. And you click on that field, which is a great thing for a mobile application because you click on it with your finger and drag it up to the someplace else and drop it, and there it is. So for your application, that would be kind of interesting. You could have your list of movies.
But we're thinking for our other application, we're thinking about your own home page where you would have almost like tiles, and you could drag and drop the tiles up to what kind of feeds or apps you wanted to run.
All right. Yeah. I'm not sure how many different types of objects, because that's a newer event. But it's fairly easy to do. All you have, there were like 4 different handlers that only had 3 or 4 lines of code in each of them. I'll let you guys do the searching to find that, and I am sure that a Google search.
Yeah.
Well, I've been talking here. If any of you have started Googling it, you may have found it already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was fun. I thought, oh, that's clever. That's a good little idea.
All right.
So let's see. I just typed JavaScript wrong. Yeah, there it is. W3 schools. Imagine that. Okay. Yeah, on drag start, and then that calls a drag event. And then the div has an on drag over that has an event. Yeah, that's a piece of cake.
Okay.
Amaze your friends. All right. Anything else I can do for you guys? I've interrupted you a long time.
Oh, it's okay. I have all kinds of questions, but I can't think of them now.
Mm-hmm.
It's when we're going through, now that we've seen the list that we're being graded on, I've realized that there's a lot more to learn.
Okay. And in fact, looking at this JavaScript event or drag and drop, it covers a lot of the bases. If you do that in your code, you'll get an agree plus at least. Change the wording a little bit so it's not a true copy and paste. But I love it how they just outline the principles in the barest form, and it makes it very easy for the casual observer to get started with it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to go steal that code right now and put it in my editor.
Can I ask you one more thing?
You bet.
On our portfolios, the list that you have that we're being graded on, should we have a separate, page for each one of these, or should we be combining things?
Well, to start out with, have a separate page because that's what your knowledge level is at the time.
Okay.
You're showing me the animations, and you got the things moving and growing, colors changing, and that gives you a disagree. And I'm going to change that semester. I'm going to, entry level knowledge, and then when you add to it, it moves up to the agree. But when you start to go for the strongly agree, you're going to almost always have to combine them. So
Okay.
you don't need to have three different pages to show me local storage DOM and Ajax. You could put all that on one page and say, Brother James, here's the link I'd like you to look at on these three different topics.
Okay.
Now, you might get a strongly agree on the local storage and agree on the Ajax, depending on how you've implemented it all. But
Right.
once they start working together, the grades all kind of rise with each other.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So
See
anyone
you
else have
later.
questions? Okay, thank you.
I'll wait 5 seconds here, see if there's any others. Okay. All
Well,
right,
did
good
you
talking
try
to
that
you
drag and
guys.
drop on a mobile device, or were you doing it on a PC?
Oh, the drag?
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
trying on my phone. I can't get it to work.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I have not. I was just doing it on the web, on a browser. Oh, well, that stinks. I guess. Well, it also depends on the browser. If
Yeah.
Safari doesn't support it, if you got one of the alternate browsers on your phone, whatever device you have, try it on that. Do you have an iPhone or do you have an Android?
Okay. We'll play with it. We'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's going to be browser dependent for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right. Good luck, you guys. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right. So, are we probably ready to move into teaching then?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like for me to go first?
Sure.
I guess I'm first on that little list. So I can go ahead and do that. Here, let me share my screen. Okay. So, oh, oops, didn't mean to do that. Here we go. All right. So I actually, after we talked last time about local storage, I just had the question like, what can you store? And so I really went out and learned, and then I also saw here on the grading thing that it said that we were supposed to be able to do simple data arrays, associative arrays, and objects.
Mhm.
So I really went out and learned how to do all of those, and I thought that I should teach it this week before I forgot all of that stuff.
Okay.
So let me come here. This is on my JavaScript, but so just a simple overview. I know you already taught this last week, Wendy, but you'll first off you'll check if local storage is available, like is done here. Set an item with a key value pair. You can also get the item with something like this, local storage.getItem. But I thought I would explain how to do an array first off. So right here I have a simple array of students, and it just has simple first names. And I found two ways to actually store an object. One was just the set item way, and one was the object way. And it seemed to me like the set item seemed a little bit of a better way to do it, because when you're setting an object, it looks like there's just one place for an object, and if you're wanting to use multiple objects, that wouldn't work because it would overwrite that object that's stored. But I did this just as an example of what can be done. So again, I created that simple array, then I said local storage.object, and this is where JSON.stringify comes in, and Wendy's going to talk a little more about that, I think, but so I won't go over it too much, but basically, yeah, you'll stringify that array, and then when you want to go out and get it, you'll create an object here and assign that to the value of the parsed object. So this right here, this line of code, would be getting that object out of local storage. And then I just put this little for loop here as an example of how you can just go through it just like a normal object at this point and access its various elements. Well, I guess it's an array in this case, but arrays are objects in JavaScript, so it's a little weird.
Okay.
How would you do multiple objects if that? I mean, is it?
That's actually my last example, so I'll show that yeah, at the very end. And then you can just see right here that the results do work. I have the results over here on the right. So yeah, for an associative array, which is the example just below it, you can see that I have I've done the same thing, but it's a little bit more of a complicated array, different form of array, where you have that key value pair. So first name, Amy, last name, Williams, and then age 22. And I put that in there just to show that you can mix data types. It doesn't have to be just strings or just numbers. It can be both. But then I use that same the same object, local storage.object, so you could see here that this would overwrite the existing object, which would be bad. But I put that in there just as another simple example, and you'll see how it's done a better way later. Okay. Same thing here. You're stringifying it, and then when you go to retrieve it, you are parsing it. And then down here, I did this just to show you how, you don't have to just access the array iteratively. You don't have to just go through all of those elements. You can actually also just say object.firstname, object.lastname, so it treats it just like an associative array. And you can see the results here. You can see that that worked. So this down here is an example of an object. So, and this is where it's done the better way. So this is just a simple object that I've created. I guess just a JSON object, but again, it has key value pairs, but in JSON notation. So first name Amy, last name Williams, and I didn't put an age on this one. I can go back and do that, but so this is where you do it the other way. You'll go set item, local storage.set item, just like you would in this simple format. And then you'll do the same thing, just stringify that. And you can see that I've put it with a key value pair. So the key is student, the value is what the stringified version of this is. And the stringified version will just show that as a long string. I mean, it'd basically just be this as a string, like, as if there were quotes around it and you just told it to display that. And yeah, you'll just go get it the same way, then you'll parse it the same way, and then access the various elements of it. And then here is an example of a complex object down below. So you can see right here, there's that more complicated JSON object that contains an array of employees. And you can see here that I've done the same thing. I've just done it the simple way, set item, employee array, JSON.stringify, so it's a key and the value. Then you go and get that item, then you parse it, and then I've gone through a simple for loop to go through all the elements, and for each element in that array to display the ith item and its first name and then its last name. And that has given these results down below.
Okay.
So yeah, I basically just wanted to do this to kind of prove, I guess, to myself that it was possible, because I was having a hard time wrapping my head around it. So
Right.
yeah, it seems really useful because you'll be working with JSON objects a lot more than just probably a simple key value pair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but...
So can you make copy and paste your code into a form on the drive?
Yeah, I could, yeah.
Okay.
Also, I found a really great reference on Stack Overflow that I'm gonna post.
Okay.
Because that explained just how to do any kind of local storage, any kind of value.
Uh-huh.
Let me look that up. But yeah, does anyone have any questions?
So I'm teaching Stringify next week.
Oh,
So,
next. Okay.
and I have no idea what it is. Could you just, don't teach it or anything, but just give us a
brief overview?
Yeah, just if you have
Yeah.
to describe what it was.
So in that case, let me come here to my JSON page. I have that open. Yeah, so if you look here, I've created this string.
Okay.
And it's just a simple string, but it's in JSON format. Usually you'll probably just start with JSON, and then you would, you know, just access the various elements of it like this. But I started out as a string just to show it going through the entire circle.
Mm-hmm.
But I've come here and I've created this, and I actually just started without these quotes. And then I decided I wanted to make it a string, so I put the quotes in.
Uh-huh.
And then I parsed it to show an example of what that does. And that basically says, interpret this string as a JSON object. Basically, turn it into a JSON object. So every time you see, you know, this character, you know that it's an array. Every time you see this, you know it's, I didn't mean to do that. You know it's a property of that, you know, a key value pair within that. So
Okay.
it parses it, turns it into a JSON object, basically. So object 2 is a JSON object.
Okay.
Then I'm going through and I am accessing the various elements of it. And then I came down here and took it the full way around the circle. Then I turned it back into a string.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah.
the reason you have to turn it into a string is so that what?
well, if as you can see here, the results of stringifying object 2 are just basically what we started with, right?
Uh-huh.
And in this case, I had a hard time seeing what it would be useful for until I was using local storage. And I realized that when you store this, when I store this array, for example, if I come here and I open up my console, go to resources, local storage, yeah, my employee array, it will actually store the JSON of that.
Oh.
So
And
that
that's
is,
what you want?
yeah, and you can only store it as a string, so I couldn't just come in here and, actually just store a straight object. I have to stringify it first.
Oh, okay.
So then when I go get this, it just sees it as a string, so I need to parse it so that it can see it as JSON,
Okay.
that it can interpret it as JSON.
I see.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I saw how it was really useful when doing this local storage of JSON objects and
Mm-hmm.
associative arrays, all that. It was really good because you can see that, you know, I had to use it for every single one.
Right.
So yeah, it was really good. It was really helpful to learn.
Okay. So you explained an associative array, but if you had to just give a definition.
Yeah,
What
so an array has, so are you familiar with the data structure maps?
No.
Okay. So an array just can be accessed by an index. So 0, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And a map has a key and a value. So if you, let me actually start screen sharing again. Let me look really quick. Had it somewhere. There it is. Yeah, so this is how it looks when you're actually doing an associative array. Instead of saying student of 0, student of 1, you'll actually use what's called the key,
Uh-huh.
and that will be assigned to a value.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get that. Okay.
So if you were to try to access it with an index, it would give you this undefined.
Oh, okay.
And then if you actually said student.firstname, student.lastname, it would give you the results down here. I just like to think of it as more of an object. It's kind of hard because I think JavaScript blurs the lines between data structures.
Right.
You can never really tell what it is, but That's not sure you can, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So Brendan or Tiffany, do you have questions?
No, I don't. That was really cool. That was
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
interesting.
if you could post that that code so we can kind of mess around with it,
Yeah.
that would really help me understand a lot better.
Yeah.
Great.
Sounds good. All right. I think that's everything that, yeah, I've prepared then.
Okay.
You guys want me to go ahead?
Sure.
So I'm teaching on Ajax. So this is very new. So if you guys have worked with it before, or I don't know, if you want to pipe in and kind of correct me if I make mistakes, please do. Okay, so Ajax it seems like it's a combination of JavaScript and XML. Um, the thing about it though is you don't need to know XML. You do need to know JavaScript and HTML. And the way that it works is it creates the data from an XML HTTP request object. So it's kind of working in the background between the browser and the server to allow the web pages or to avoid having to reload the entire web page. So, like for example, say that you click on an object on the web page. Instead of it totally reloading the page, it's just going to reload that section or maybe whatever in that div. Does that kind of make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to share some examples with you and kind of um, walk through the W3 page. It's actually just really good at doing it step by step and trying to help you understand exactly what's going on. So if we go to W3, the tutorial, it starts off by just giving you an example right off the bat. And it shows you how this is actually working. So it's working, I believe this, like the function itself is actually JavaScript. But then right here in this if statement, it's bringing in the Ajax. You go ahead and click the button, and it changes the content without actually reloading the entire page.
Oh.
So you see here it explains. And I'm in the next chapter, and it breaks everything down. So it says, what is Ajax? It says it's a technique for creating fast and dynamic web pages. It allows the web page to be updated by feeding small amounts of data to the server behind the scenes, which means it makes it possible for parts of the web page to be updated without the whole page being reloaded.
Could I interrupt real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Amy, could you click on Tiffany so that it stays on her screen?
Thanks. I forgot that I'm the one recording this time.
Oh, anyone can click. You can click down in your own little thing down the bottom. If you click on their picture, it'll stay on their picture.
Yeah.
Right, but Amy has to do it so that our recording shows hers.
Oh, I get you.
There's a drop arrow that if you click on it, it says Tiffany's presenting. If you click on her drop arrow.
It's right where my.
There you go. Okay. Thank you.
It's still showing Wendy on my side.
Um,
Okay, maybe I just have it set wrong. Okay, so you guys can all see?
Now we can. Oh, back to Amy. What do you see, Amy?
I just see Tiffany because, yeah, I've selected her.
Okay. Yeah, I can see myself too.
Okay,
All right, we good?
I think so.
Okay. So right here is a diagram of how Ajax is actually working. So here's your browser. This is all, where your code is going. It goes to the server and it goes back to the browser. Like I said before, it's just taking the information in, say, that div. I'm going to use that. So the information that you stuck in a specific div, you can take that information, send it to the server, and then output whatever was in that div, instead of taking all the information on the entire HTML document, sending it to the server, and then outputting it. Does that make sense?
Kind of. Can you say that one more time? I'll try to follow you.
Okay, so what it's doing is it's taking so all the information that you have on an HTML document, normally what it does, what just a normal without the Ajax would do, it would take all the information on that HTML document, it would send it to the server, and then it would output the information, right?
Right.
What Ajax is doing is it's taking the information in the specific div, or wherever you tell it to take the information from. So it could take it from a div, it could take it from a span.
So it would be for like a form or a map or something?
Maybe to like reload a picture.
Uh-huh.
The picture. So it would take that information, it would send it to the server, and then it would output it without reloading the Does that kind of make sense?
Without reloading the entire page?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the thing that it does.
Okay.
Is it limited to just divs, or will it do any kind of object?
No, it'll do any object from what I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how they do that. I've often wondered that. Makes sense.
Then it just goes into breaking down exactly how you would do it. This is the part that I'm still kind of struggling with. I believe it's grabbing the information from one of their text documents to change it. Because I've tried to mess with this code here, and I can't change it too much. So that might just be a lack of understanding on my part, to be honest. So, yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and maybe go to that website, I'll post the code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mess around with it as well. And maybe in a future teaching lesson, somebody can, once they've messed around with that code enough, they can explain exactly how it works.
Okay. And Amy, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, actually, I've used it quite a bit in some projects. I don't know that I'd have a ton to add to what you said. You did a good job explaining what it is. I mean, yeah, just that you just load things without having to reload the entire page.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that the thing is that the structure is always the same. You know, there's almost not a lot that you can play around with because it either works or it doesn't work.
Okay.
You can just work with what it is you're loading, I guess. But yeah, the function will always be the same. You'll wait for the codes and stuff like that. So the other thing that I guess I would add is just that, you know, when it says like you're waiting until the code equals 200, I think it is.
Yeah.
That 200 is like the response code. So like, for example, 404 is page not found.
Yeah.
200's that's like the go ahead. Like, okay, everything's good.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was wondering what that was. I was trying
Yeah.
to mess with it and it didn't do it.
Yeah, so you're just waiting for like basically, you send a response to the server and you wait until it says you're okay, and then you get the data that it gave you back. So I mean, Ajax is really actually pretty simple. I don't know, but yeah, you did a good job explaining it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that's how the W3 Schools actually uses their little testing program, right? When you hit the see results button, it's using Ajax to
Yeah, probably.
refresh just that one part of it to show what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tiffany.
Yep. Brendan, are you supposed to be teaching today too?
Yes.
Okay, and it's all possible.
All right, y'all ready?
Yep.
Hey, Amy, do you want to put him on as presented now?
Yes. I just did that, so he's on.
All right, is my screen up?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm doing CSS transform, which is fairly simple. I think when he says talking about combining things, you know, you can put all three of the CSS things together and make some pretty cool things that look a lot like some you would see in you know, some other language like Flash or stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But and this is the document here on the left. This is the document I have already in the drive that y'all can refer to. That kind of has all the shortcut keys and everything. But your main property is this transform object. And then down here, we'll get into the actual different methods that are there. But I pulled up the W3 Schools here to kind of show you how it works. There's 2D and 3D different transforms. You see the 2D, you know, just spin around, which is, you know, kind of neat. But the whole premise of this, when I first started, was, oh, it just kind of makes things look nice. But when you get to some of the 3D stuff, I thought, okay, well, maybe that's a different way to do menus and whatnot. And so I'll show you some good examples of that. You know, this one here, this 3D rotate, just spins it on a different axis is really all the 3D does. But keep in mind that some of these are, like transform style, are limited to the 3D. When we get down here to the methods.
Okay.
So talking about just in the 2D, you've got translate, rotate, scale, in the skew. I'll look at those here real quick. And then this last one is a matrix, which is basically a shorthand to do all 6 of those in one line of code. I don't know if we use it too often or not, but translate really just means to move it from one location to another, and which could be possibly useful depending on what we're going to do. Rotate, of course, spins it in one way. The scale, you know, goes either up or down. And then skew, which they don't have an example on here, but if you also know what a skewed object looks like, you'll see. And so again, here's a matrix where it puts it all together, just in one line. It tells you, you know, you can do all 5 or 6 of those other methods all at once. You can get into the 3D. It takes the rotate and splits it into the 3 axes. So you've got the rotate X, Y, and Z. And really the rotate Z is the same as the rotate 2D. That's rotating on the same axis. So you have 2 different ways to do that particular one. And then the 3D also has a matrix, you know, to put everything together. But just going through these, you know, rotate, you know, the X-axis, you're flipping it up and down. The Y is left to right. And then the Z is just like spinning it as in the 2D version. So again, that's all. It's pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to it, but I did some examples in my. So this one I grabbed from CSS3. You know, if you take a 2D and you just put a rotate on this div, this second div down here is just rotated, which, you know, again, I don't know how we use it on a static version, but in this experimental one I did, I started, if you hover, I put it on the hover so you can do different things. And then I combined some of them, like this next one's not only flipping, but it's also growing, and then it's putting a shadow behind it.
Oh, cool.
So you combine all the CSS different methods and properties all in one. just rotate one's skewing, and then I also had it change colors, at the same time.
So with the hover, did you just do like a JavaScript event there, like on mouse over or something?
Yeah, it's just let me show you my code here.
Okay.
Here's one of these. Actually, no, I'm just using a CSS hover.
Okay.
But all this code's in that Word document too that I posted.
Okay.
Monkey with it. But anyway, I think it's pretty cool. I think when we get down to kind of buttons and menus and that type of thing, we could make some things that look, kind of cool. This stuff goes pretty slow, but we could do things that are faster. So I found some cool examples that show the different capabilities of it. Here's just a really easy one where you flip it, but you notice that it goes from one image to another one, which is kind of cool. And then you can flip it back. Here's one that a lot of people are getting into where they do spinning cubes.
Oh, cool.
And so you can see all the different sides, and you can have it auto-rotate or whatever, but there's also a visibility property to it. And so you can see, it's got a transparency, you can see through it.
That is cool.
And then I thought this one too was kind of cool. You've probably seen carousels, but this is again all just CSS. Saying if you could do this one with somehow a click and a swipe or something, to spin around different things. You can spin through the movies or spin through maybe something on our home page if we had a carousel of different things that you could just spin through, but it's all in one div to where you've got 5 or 6 different things in there. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, it is.
And you'll see like on this cube one, I'm going to show you the source code to it. There's really not that much to it. You've got your container here, and they use the perspective property, and then you're really just using everything. You're down here on the front and the back. You're just rotating and using the translate, so that the axis on changes as the cube spins. But it's all pretty basic and out there when it, for the cube anyway. A lot of people have used that.
Mm-hmm. Is this your website?
No, this was one I had found.
Oh, okay.
But this one, I saw the copyright down. It was, yeah. A lot of this stuff is Creative Commons license and stuff that you can use without any issue. But if you Google for CSS transform cubes, you'll see all sorts of them that are out there, and they're putting images on them and all sorts of different things.
Cool.
So this one I thought too would be kind of cool flipping cards if we had different tiles, and you wanted to flip it over to see something else, especially on mobile devices where we don't have a whole lot of screen real estate.
Right.
We could possibly use, animations and things to more options on our screen.
Right. So are you just using transform, or are you doing animation at the same time?
All this stuff that I did right here, this was just transform.
Okay.
I didn't use any of the animation part of it.
And do you know if those cubes are using just transform?
I believe so. Let's see, transform. Yeah, everything on there is just transform.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, in fact, there was some transition up in here.
Okay.
That's about it. And one thing I'd read on local stores is that one guy who had an idea of actually storing some CSS style sheets in local stores to make things go faster. That wouldn't have to keep pulling down from the server.
Oh, really?
You just refer to it locally. I don't know how that would work, or it doesn't seem like CSS style sheets are that big to me, but maybe I'm not thinking of some of the more complicated ones.
Right.
But I can see if you're on your cell phone, you lose your 4G or 3G or whatever, and just it could make sense to have something local. But
Right.
sounds like a lot of work.
Okay. I actually learned that this week, or a little bit of it this week, because my sister learned it in her group, and so we teach each other what we're learning.
Speaking of your sister, you know, I saw her picture when we were going through something, and I thought, gosh, she looks a lot like Wendy. You said you were twins, but
Yeah.
I would never ask you, you know.
We don't mind.
Yeah.
Well, that was good.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Is that everything then, or
Let's see.
anything else that we need to cover?
Let me go back to our minutes.
Yeah, let me go back there too.
Well, what do we need to do? Amy, are you and I then working on the homepage proposal stuff? Is that since the other two guys are out?
Let's do that, and I'd be happy to draft up mock-up or something like that too.
Yeah, just put
next week, isn't it?
No, I think he said week 8.
Okay.
but yeah, it wouldn't hurt to kind of get finalized on which one
we should get going on
it for, so we can go forward thinking.
Yeah, I agree. And so that we can just kind of be thinking about, how we're gonna design this, but.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll put one together, and I'll put one together, and we'll compare notes and see what we can come up with.
Sounds great.
Okay.
All right. Well, there's nothing else that we can think of doing that needs to be talked about. Should we make the closing prayer?
Sure.
That has not been assigned already, has it?
No.
Anyone want to volunteer?
I can do that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful that we could come together today and have this meeting, that we could talk about the topics that we're trying to learn and try to help each other to learn. We ask you to please bless us throughout this week, that we can focus on our proposals for our applications and how we would use the topics that we're learning in those apps. And please bless us that we might have thy Spirit with us as we learn, that we can learn quicker than we could on our own. And we ask you to help us to focus this week and come prepared next week. We love thee and we're thankful for all we've been given. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so next week I will initiate the meeting and Brendan could do the minutes.
Sure.
All right. Sounds great.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Okay, we'll see ya.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.